Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hello and welcome to Primetime Local News. I'm Lane Hoffert. Lloydminster RCMP are advising the public that a cougar has been spotted within city limits. It was last seen just after midnight this morning in the area of 33rd Street and 45th Avenue. Police and conservation officers were asking people to not approach the cougar if they see it. Do not feed the animal. They say all pets should remain indoors when possible and only go outside when supervised. Food and garbage should not be left outside. Anyone that sees the cougar is asked to contact RCMP so they can better track its movements. A Lloydminster area man won a pumpkin weigh-off competition with a 2,100-pound behemoth. I was able to witness the giant pumpkin in person.
Donald Cruz grows pumpkins on his farm just outside of Lloydminster, but what makes his different from most others is their towering size and heavy weight. Every year, Cruz hauls his biggest pumpkin to the Smoky Lake Great White Weigh-Off, and almost every year, he wins first place.
What made me do it? My wife made me do it. No, she brought home a little pack of seeds one time, and it was supposed to be a joke of my mom. We were going to put it in the garden, and, well, didn't happen, but I planted them anyway one year, and I went, holy cow, does that ever grow fast?
Cruz is well versed in the world of pumpkin growing, but says he is still learning and trying new things in order to ensure that they reach their maximum weight potential.
This is a long process. It took me 25 years to get here, right? Yeah, you learn a little bit every year. Every year, you try and add something. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Even though Cruz has grown the heaviest pumpkin at the Smoky Lake Great White North Weigh-Off 12 times now, he is always looking to outdo himself and break previous records, including the national record currently held by his own pumpkin from 2 years ago.
Well, they've said it was 12, but I really wasn't keeping track. At first, I never thought I'd ever win it. It's hard. It's really hard to get there, right? In 22, I grew a 2,537-pound pumpkin. I think that's still holding out as the Canadian record. So that was pretty good there. Now, of course, I have to match that, and so if everything that doesn't match that is always a disappointment.
Growing a 2,137-pound pumpkin is no easy feat, and few people know that better than Donald Cruz. Takes a lot of nature, nurture, and a little bit of good luck, too. Lane Hoffert, Primetime Local News. The Canadian curriculum has been constantly expanding over the decades, ensuring more history be taught to our youth. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we see Lloyd Comp get hands-on learning experience at the Lloyd Museum and Archives.
Canada has a very storied past, and the Lloyd Public School Division wanted to ensure their students were informed on that history. The land-based program at Lloyd Comp is designed to get these students to learn more about the history that we have in Lloydminster.
Students are getting an opportunity to interact with artifacts, understand how artifacts can tell a story, and get involved in the interpretation. They're also getting a chance to see the archives and see the role that preserving history and the stories that we can learn from the preserved record, and then getting a gallery walk to just see some of the artifacts that we have here in Lloydminster and some of the things that connect to our history in this area.
There's more than one takeaway for these students. They got to hear stories from those who have studied this their whole lives.
Well, we're learning about the artifacts and stuff that happened a long time ago. Wants to know where we came from, because you can't learn about who you are without knowing where you came from.
Learning about this history is aimed not only at providing knowledge, but also at giving these students a newfound appreciation for the lives they have today.
And I think it gives students an opportunity to get a more in-depth understanding of a place and understand how sometimes history is not always just a linear story, that there are very different perspectives that exist in terms of recorded history.
And that's all for this week's edition of Beyond the Classroom.
At Lakeland College, our students go beyond the classroom for immersive, hands-on learning experiences. It's about experiencing the real world.
Canada's unconventional medium, Jenny Ogilvie, has 2 shows planned for Lloydminster later this month. Stacey Comer spoke with her to find out what people can expect when attending the events.
I have a very special guest joining me today on Primetime Local News. Jenny Ogilvy is here. Jenny is known as Canada's Unconventional Medium. Jenny, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Stacy.
You are coming to Lloydminster, Jenny, here towards the end of the month, October 26th and 27th, to the Vic Juba Community Theatre. And for people who have not experienced your show before or not quite understanding what it is you do, tell me what they can expect when they show up at the Vic Juba Theatre for your show here towards the end of the month.
Awesome. So the tagline, literally in everything that I do, even on my business card, it says "Laugh, Cry, Repeat." It's a very unique show. So it's a gallery session where I just bring forward information of people that have passed, and give validations that they're still with you. But more so, it's also like a different change of perspective about what life and death really means when we lose somebody that we love.
And from what I understand too, Jenny, I know some people come and they expect to come to the show and it's like, oh, well, Jenny's going to pick me out or I'm going to be able to talk to her and she's going to solve my problems for me and tell me how to run my life. But that's not exactly what happens, correct?
No, absolutely not. I make it very clear whether I'm in a group session, a show, or a personal session that I'm not here to do your hard work. I don't believe that there's anybody here that should do someone else's work. I think it's really about when somebody that say passes in your life, it makes us wake up to our own life and makes us start thinking about what our mortality is. And so I just kind of help guide people in understanding just kind of what their process is. And I always say, death might get you in the door, but it might not necessarily be what we need to talk about. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And these shows obviously are interactive. It's not just you speaking to people and, saying your message and saying what you're hearing. This is an interactive show.
Yes, absolutely. And I think for myself being the person that does this, I guess, work, I think it's important to remember that the information needs to be it needs to be specific. So, and I think that that's what I'm known most for is the idea that when I bring someone forward, I can tell you their name, I can tell you when they passed, I can tell you how they passed, I can tell you why they're coming forward to you, uh, for you and for your loved ones. So for me, I just look at this and say, hey, everybody, you can do this too. It just requires us, as I say in my book, to shut up and listen, right?
And now you did mention your book, Jenny, and that's a good place, I think, for people to, if they want to ahead of time, find out a little bit more about, how you come to do what you do and a little bit about your background. So tell me a little bit about that book.
So this book is like chicken soup for the soul with a slap across the face. Like really, every chapter is not connected, so you can pick it up and read something that might give you an aha moment. That was really important for me because I'm not really one that reads books, but I love the punch that something that you read that you need to hear in the moment hits me, and I don't have to have an entire backstory in order to get it. So that's kind of the whole purpose of that, to really get people to start questioning why we think the way we do, why we approach death the way we do. If you were to be able to have a sit down conversation with your loved one that's passed, what exactly do you need? And really just kind of steering away from the whole idea of what psychic mediums or intuitives do. I think that book just really puts the ownership back on you to say, okay, what is it that I really need?
And now, as far as it goes to in regards to booking shows, you can actually, people can have, if they want like a one on one with you, like if they can't make it to the show in Lloydminster or maybe are a little uncertain about,
Yeah.
coming forward, they can actually book sessions with you, correct?
Yes, everything is live video now, just for the fact of scheduling and that I'm on the road. I usually do about 40 shows a year. And so I'm constantly on the road. And obviously we live in Alberta and people I don't want people traveling 6 hours to do in person when energy is fluid in it, whether you're on live video or in person.
Now,
Mhm.
if people are looking, Jenny, for information just on yourself and on the upcoming shows here in Lloydminster and about booking those sessions, what's the best place to find everything in one place?
JennyOgilvy.com. It has everything. It has the link to the book. It has an option for you to like reach out and request whether it's a one person, a group live video, whatever it is that you need. I am booking into 2025 now. So if you are interested, please know that there's a bit of a wait.
Well, Jenny, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for chatting with me. And we look forward to seeing you here again October 26th and 27th at the Vic Juba Community Theater.
Thanks, Stacy. Have a great day.
Thank you.
We'll have more primetime local news after the break. There's lots to consider when going through divorce and separation. One of the things that is important is choosing the right professional to help you with the process. Stacy Comer has more.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us again this week. It's time for another episode of Healthy Thriving Family After Divorce. Stephanie is a lawyer, mediator, and online educator with Hankin Divorce Law and Mediation. Offices in Lloydminster and Edmonton. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me.
As always, thank you, Stacy.
Today, we're going to be talking about how to find the right professional when going through divorce and separation. It is tough. There's already so much that you're going to be thinking about. So it's very important that you choose the right person and the person that's the right fit for how you feel and what you're going through when you go through this process. So we're going to start, Stephanie, by talking about what's the key to ensuring that you choose the right professional for your specific situation?
Yeah, and Stacy, you mentioned a good point. We're talking specifically about either a lawyer or mediator, someone on the legal front to help you to resolve your issues. So the most important thing that you can do, as you said, you described it as a feel, it's really important to do your research. There's no excuse in my mind for just picking a name out of a phone book or the first name that comes up in an online search. You also want to make sure that you don't go with the first available lawyer or mediator that is available for an initial consultation. So that research is really important. So how do you do that research? You may want to get personal recommendations from family or friends or colleagues. And the most important thing you can ask them is why? Why are you recommending them? Because just because the professional is right for them may or may not be right for you. So then once you've got some names or you're looking online, you might want to look at their website or even their social media presence, because I know in our social media presence, we really try to put out a particular vibe for how we approach things. And for us, it's not right for every family. And so that's how we really want to present ourselves. And I hope that other firms will also do the same thing. So you can also look at online reviews, but be very careful because they could be some disgruntled clients that go through that online review process.
How should a person prepare for that initial consultation when you're getting this process rolling?
Yeah, so that initial consultation is so important because, of course, we're going for feel and vibe, and we're trying to make sure that this is the right person. So making the most out of your initial consultation is really important. So the first thing we want to do is start gathering up any relevant documents, relevant court paperwork that you want the lawyer or mediator to review. Create a list of questions to ask. And it's really helpful when people come prepared as far as the things that they want to talk about or the questions that they have, because you're going to go through information overload in the consultation. And so, your lawyer mediator is going to say, what questions do you have? And you're going to say, my mind is drawing a blank. So you really want to be prepared with that. The lawyer or mediator may have a questionnaire for you to complete. The more information you provide on that questionnaire, the quicker that you'll be able to actually get to the meat and potatoes, the substance of your matter. So fill that out as much as possible. And then, of course, you want to find out how long the appointment is going to be, whether there's a fee, forms of payment, and then most law offices and mediation offices are going to ask you to bring in a piece of ID.
Okay, and when you have that first consultation, Stephanie, what can you expect when you walk through the doors? And, it is, I know you do it all the time, so you're comfortable, but for somebody who is going through this is not usually something that is for the most part, a repeat event for people. So, if they're a little nervous and wondering how this is all going to work, what can they expect from that first consultation?
And you make a really good point, Stacey, because it is so nerve-wracking. And every time that we meet with clients, we really try to remember that this is a constant for us, but on the other side, this is someone that is going to likely be on information overload because they can only absorb so much. So this is why we do this kind of episode is to help people to sort of debunk what's going to happen. So the consultation will last anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 minutes. And like I said, information overload, bring your journal, make sure you have a pen and paper to take notes. Your lawyer is going to ask you a number of questions and is going to listen to what I call your story. So that's the main bulk of the consultation, is really you providing a whole lot of information about what's going on in your situation. Then the lawyer or mediator will provide you with legal information. And if it's a lawyer, also legal advice. Usually the questions are either open-ended, so they'll be asking you, certain questions that have sort of a long drawn out answer, or they might have sort of much more direct questions, but the lawyer is very adept at asking these questions. So just, you'll be following along as opposed to doing more of the preparing. So make sure by the end of it, make sure that you've been really open and honest. And if the lawyer asks you, is there anything else that you need to tell me about, just make sure that you're open about that.
And what type of questions should you ask the client when they go into this meeting?
Yeah, so the client is going to ask, if it hasn't come up already through natural conversation, you're going to want to ask some good information about, or have some good questions about the billing and the finances. So how does the billing work? What's their hourly rate? How often do they bill? And a lot of people have heard of what's called a retainer. It's basically a deposit that gets held by the law firm. So we want to find out what that retainer might be. Communication is another key inquiry. So you might want to find out what is the method of communication. Do they usually email, or is it texting, or is there an online portal? What about document delivery? Do you just bring in all of your documents and then they'll get scanned in by the law firm? Or do they have, like our office, we have an online portal where you just scan in your documents and it comes to us automatically electronically? So really important and key questions. The last thing that I want to mention is the timeline. How long will this take? Because by the end of the consultation, the lawyer or mediator should have a better idea of your situation. I usually gauge that on three things: the process that you choose, so court versus no court, the level of conflict between you and your former spouse, and then the number of issues to be resolved. So of course, it's not really an answer that I can give to our audience today, but those are the kind of things that it can depend on.
All right. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it, and we'll be back to chat with you next week.
Thanks, Stacey.
That's all for news. Sports is next, but first, here's a look at your closing market.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
The Lakeland Rustlers men's volleyball team is practicing up for another exciting season in the ACAC. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
The Lakeland Rustlers men's volleyball team have been practicing hard for the upcoming ACAC season.
Yeah, I think it's been going really well, and obviously, with how we did last year, we did so well that's bumped our expectations up for this year, I think. Like last year, we were really happy with how we did, but we have pretty much the same team returning, so we're obviously looking for more this year.
While a good portion of the core is returning for this season, some new players have joined the squad and are adjusting well to Rustlers volleyball.
Yeah, vets and coaches, one of my biggest appreciations go out to all of them, all the vets, and have been true role models for myself and for all the other rookies on the team, showing how it's done, showing how to be a true student athlete. Coaches, same goes for them. They're doing great, helping us be the best that we can in the short preseason that we have going into the regular season.
The Rustlers already have a bye into the ACAC Men's Volleyball Championship as hosts of the tournament, but they plan to win their way in and continue to get better every day.
Every weekend, it's an expectation that we're going to be competitive. We're going to win every weekend. Guys set their own goal that they want to win conference championships. So, again, right there in a medal match last year, and so I would expect the same from this group coming forward this year.
Thomas Wildman, Primetime, local news.
Now let's take a look at your pets of the day.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to have them featured on Pet of the Day.